Many guitar players struggle to increase their guitar speed, and there can be many different reasons why you might be feeling stuck with your speed on the guitar. Today, we're going to explore why you can't play guitar faster yet and why you may be stuck on the same speed. Now, the vast majority of guitar players play with a lot of excessive tension, and many are totally aware of the amount of tension they're really playing with every time they pick up their guitar. The problem is tension kills guitar speed potential. But it's even worse than that. Tension not only limits your guitar speed, it also causes us to make guitar playing mistakes or generally sloppy guitar playing. Hi, I'm Tom Hess, and like most people, my guitar speed used to be severely limited due to excessive tension when I played. Now, this was so very frustrating because I didn't know why my guitar speed and skills were stuck. I only knew I wasn't able to play the way I wanted. So I looked for new guitar lessons or exercises to build my speed and technique. And although those things did help some, it just wasn't enough. So I continued to struggle for a long time. Now, back then, I was taking lessons from a truly great player and teacher, but because he never had excessive tension problems himself, he seemed to really struggle to help me with mine. He was a great guy, but he simply couldn't relate to my problem, and so he was only able to help me improve my speed a little bit. Clearly, I needed something different. I needed someone to understand what my real problem, the roots of my problems were, and how to fix it once and for all. Years later, I found just such a teacher, and it made all the difference in the world. This was the breakthrough that I needed. And in a short amount of time, my tension melted away and it was greatly reduced. And I could finally play faster. It was a true breakthrough. Now, since that time, many years ago, I've taught thousands of guitar players to do the same. And today is your opportunity to overcome this once and for all for yourself. When I work with new students, one of the things I hear from them a lot is they'll say things like, I have a lot of tension when I play guitar. The truth is, tension is not something you have or you don't have. Tension is something you create. You create tension in lots of different ways, but generally they fall into two major categories: physical-based tension and emotional-based tension. So now let's talk about why and how tension kills guitar speed. Tension causes your muscles to contract and remain contracted. It hinders the free movement of your hands, your fingers, your wrists, your arm, etc. It restricts the motion flow or the flow of motion. You can't move fluidly and freely unencumbered when you have tension building up in various parts of your body. Now, I mentioned a moment ago that there are two main categories of tension, and there are many types or causes of tension within both of those categories. In fact, there are 9 main types of tension or causes of tension in general. And if you want to learn more about that, you can check out a free 90-minute masterclass, no strings attached, totally free at my website, tomhess.net/total-tension-control. One of the ways that guitar players can take existing excessive tension and make it worse is by not being warmed up before they start playing guitar, anything that's hard or difficult or fast. So not being warmed up is not a cause of tension, but it exaggerates tension that's already there. It takes a problem and it makes it worse. It adds a zero, it multiplies it. So you want to make sure before you even try to deal with reducing or eliminating excessive tension that you are fully warmed up when you begin to play anything that is difficult, hard, fast, etc. Now, I've got a video here on YouTube you might want to check out. It's called Guitar Warm-Up Exercises, a step-by-step tutorial. Many people are not even aware of all the different sources or types of tension that they really have going on in their body when they play. Maybe they're aware of one or two, but they usually aren't aware of all of the others that are contributing. And one of the ways that players kind of find out that they are tense is when they do something like picking, really fast tremolo picking on the guitar. If you take a guitar, you play something really, pick something really fast like a tremolo, you do it many, many times or for a long period of time, you start to feel that your forearm or your elbow or maybe your wrist, maybe even your thumb right here in your picking hand or picking arm starts to get really tense. And the longer you continue to play that way, the more tense it becomes, and then it gets harder and harder and harder to maintain that level of speed with that same kind of clear articulation, and you just run out of endurance and you feel like you've got to stop, or your arm feels like it's on fire. That is a very typical way that takes tension that's already there and makes it more conscious in the mind of the player. They can't not notice it in a situation like that. Certain legato exercises or doing legato for a long period of time will have a similar effect. There's probably tension there all along, but because you're doing legato for a prolonged period of time, it starts to become worse and worse and more noticeable, and that's usually the point at which people realize I'm playing with a lot of tension. They then see themselves as not being able to play with a lot of endurance, but it's not so much about endurance, it's about tension that already exists starting to get out of control. So let's go back to talking about the picking hand and when playing a really fast tremolo, repeating the same note over and over and over again for a long period of time, and how we deal with this in order to not get totally fatigued and tired. So when you're practicing a tremolo, you want to find the point at which the tension gets really noticeable, to find the speed on the metronome, where the tension starts to get really noticeable and you feel like you're getting tighter and tighter. So maybe for you that's at 120 beats per minute, maybe it's at 200, maybe it's at 80, I don't know where it is for you. But you want to find where that point is. And then you want to start practicing just below that point. So you don't want to cross that threshold where your hands or your arm or your elbow start to get really tense. You want to practice below that, maintain that speed, the same articulation, so the same amount of power that you're picking each note, but stay below that threshold. As you're practicing below that threshold, when I say threshold, I'm talking about the speed on the metronome. So as you're doing that, and you keep going and you're going, and you can go for a long time without getting tired because you're below that threshold, right? So as you do that, you want to start taking an inventory of all the muscles in your body and what is tense and what is not tense. And you might discover that you are being tense in places in your body that have nothing to do with your picking hand or your fretting hand. So some people might grind their teeth or clench their jaw. They tighten the muscles in their head. Some people will jam their tongue into the roof of their mouth. Some people will curl their toes. Some people will get really tight in their biceps. Some people will do strange things with their posture or moving their shoulders in awkward ways that create tension. Some people tighten their backs, even their stomachs. So you want to find, while playing as fast as you can, but below that threshold, that's the critical thing. If you go above the threshold or you go too far below it, this is not going to give you the feedback that you really need, okay? Or at least it's going to be harder to get. So you want to be playing below that threshold right here, okay? And then you want to go from head to toe and find everything, while playing in real time, every muscle that may be tensing, that doesn't need to be tensing, right? So your tongue being jammed up against the roof of your mouth, this doesn't help you play guitar, obviously. So we need to relax that, okay? If you're curling your toes up, and this happens more when people are sitting while playing than standing while playing, but if this is happening, you want to stop that, because even though your feet are very far away from your hands, that tension caused down there will start to travel up and affect your guitar playing. Okay, so we want to be aware of what's happening, and then one muscle at a time, get it to relax while we're still doing the tremolo just below the threshold. If you do that, it will become easier to fix some types or some causes of tension. There are still many other kinds that cannot be fixed this way, but this is a pretty common scenario where people play guitar with a lot of tension, and this is one way you can begin to start eliminating and reducing that tension. There will be more things necessary to get rid of all of it, but this is a good starting point. So as I mentioned earlier, there are 9 types of tension that guitar players typically suffer from. Some people have all 9, others have less. On average, most guitar players have about 6, but are typically only aware of 1 or 2. And that's what keeps them stuck. Because even if they eliminate or reduce the 1 or 2 sources of tension or types of tension that they are consciously aware of, if there are other types of tension, other sources of tension that go undiagnosed and untreated, and you don't do anything to fix it, your guitar speed is still going to be capped. I have a free online training masterclass for you called Total Guitar Playing Tension Control. Say goodbye to tension today and experience a lifetime of bigger, better, faster, and easier guitar gains. In this totally free training I have for you, I reveal how to improve your guitar technique, speed, and fluency much faster. How? By identifying all 9 types of tension. Now, number 9 is very damaging, and showing you exactly how to overcome them all so that you can finally get on the fast track to playing guitar the way you want to without there being a limitation or a ceiling above your guitar speed potential. During this free video masterclass, you will discover how many of the 9 types of tension you have and how to eliminate them one by one. You'll also actually eliminate or at least severely reduce all 9 sources of tension by the time the class ends. You'll be able to practice and play your guitar in a new way so that tension never creeps its way back in. And you'll learn much, much more so that you can become a better guitar player much faster and easier than ever before once tension is not standing in your way and limiting you as it probably is, as it does for almost every guitar player. So for a limited time, this is totally free to you, no strings attached. Go to my website, tomhess.net/total-tension-control. You'll be very glad you did.